review the digital signature process, the CoSign control panel, and how to sign and validate signatures. But before we begin, let's take a quick poll on your familiarity with CoSign. And before the session is over today, I will ask you to answer 2 additional polls. So let's begin. Okay, we'll wait just another few more seconds before we get all the votes in. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And here we'll start. So we're going to start with a high-level overview of digital signature basics, the different signature types, and the digital signature process and the architecture. So what is asymmetric key cryptography? Well, it involves a private key and a public key, which is used for encryption as well as in digital signing. In digital signing, we can look at the signing key as your identification card and the verification key as a notary. So here's a visual representation of this process for signing and verifying documents. On the left side, basically, it begins with a document that you want to sign. From that document's data, an algorithm is used to basically calculate a hash value. So it takes the content of your document and it computes some numbers. Then it takes this hash value and it gets encrypted with your signer's private key. So each signer has their own unique private key. So then you take that private key and this digital certificate and combine those two and attach it to your document. And the end product is your digitally signed document. So then with the verification process, it's a reverse. It takes the digitally signed data, then it calculates the hash value of that document's current content. So it looks at the current content of your document, and it basically redoes what the very step in signing does. It calculates this hash value, this number. Then simultaneously, it decrypts your signing key, and it takes a look at the hash value that was signed at that time, and it compares it with the current hash value. Now, if those 2 values match, that means your signature is valid and no changes were made after you signed the document. But if the hash values don't match, it means some content has changed in the document after the user has signed, and that's when the signature becomes invalid. The digital certificate. So what is that? Well, it's used to prove the signer's identity. It basically binds this signing key and this public key. The certificate that you get is issued by a certificate authority. And for CoSign customers, the certificate authority is basically the user's company. On the certificate, it contains information on the signer's name, the expiration date of their key, as well as the organization that issued this signing certificate to the user, and other information regarding the user. So with the digital signature technology, basically it uses what's called a cryptographic method to demonstrate the authenticity of a digital message. A valid digital signature indicates it can prove authenticity of the signer, the integrity of the data, and non-repudiation. And what non-repudiation means is that the signer can't deny that he is the person who signed it. And with all three options, digital signatures can be used in the court of law. Because at the end of the day, you can prove who signed that document. So I talked about these three I's. What are these three I's? Well, basically, it's the signer's identity, who is signing the document, the signer's intent, why is this person signing this document, and lastly, the document integrity, proof that this document has not been changed since the document was signed. Now, by looking at the signature properties, you can see that the three I's have been proven. So when a user signs a document and you want to look at that signature property, this is what you'll get to see. And what does this say is here, this document was signed by John Miller, and he stated in the reason that he has accepted and approved this transaction. And the document integrity has been calculated and proven that the signature is valid. Now, there are a few types of signatures in the electronic world. And the first is an electronic signature, which is a graphical image of your handwritten signature attached to a document. Now, this can be created using a signature pad, like the ones you see at the grocery stores. But it doesn't ensure that the document's integrity, that nothing has been changed after you've signed it. The next type is digital signatures. Now, with digital signatures, it doesn't contain the graphical image of your signature, but it can be proven that the document has not been changed since signed. Lastly, you have the CoSign signature. And what the CoSign signature does is it combines the best of both worlds. Basically, it includes the graphical image of your signature and the technology that can ensure the document's integrity, the signer's intent, and the signer's identity. Now let's take a look at the signing process within CoSign. So it begins with the user at your workstation. And the user is going to log on and authenticate himself. So they have to enter in a username and password. Then the user will create the document or open a document that needs to be signed. Clicks on the Sign button. And then the document hash, basically the document gets sent over to the CoSign appliance. And that's when the signing takes place, and the digital signature is then sent back to the application, which then takes that digital signature and it embeds it into that document. Here's a high-level overview of the CoSign architecture. For some, this might be a little bit more technical, but it's good to get an idea of the overall process and how it works in the CoSign environment. Basically, the CoSign solution includes a few components. You have the client-side tools, such as the programs you're using to sign documents. Then you have the integration with an existing user directory, such as Active Directory, and that's used to authenticate the signers. You have your management console, which allows your administrators to manage system configuration, as well as capturing graphical signatures. Then you have web services or DLLs when using the CoSign software development kit. And that occurs when creating customized web forms. Then lastly, you have the core, which is the CoSign appliance. And the CoSign appliance contains your private keys, your graphical signature images, and your user certificate. So here's a list of regulatory requirements that CoSign adheres to. We comply with different U.S. and European regulations. And if you want additional details regarding the different requirements and the specifics, please visit our website, which will go through and define how we adhere to these different requirements. Now getting into the meat of it, the CoSign control panel. We're going to review the CoSign control panel in an environment that has been installed to sync up to Active Directory. And basically what that means is CoSign, you would use your Windows authentication account to log on to CoSign and to sign documents. Now let's take a look at the CoSign, the client configuration. Users with the CoSign control panel have CoSign client installed, and it can be accessed through the Windows menu. Depending on whether CoSign is installed to sync up to Active Directory or a different user directory mode, the view of the CoSign control panel may be different than what you see on this screen. Now, the key points that we're going to cover within the CoSign control panel is the client configuration and the graphical signature. Now, looking at the client configuration, the most commonly used configuration setting is the within client, and drilling down to the appliances setting. Under appliances, you have the option to modify and configure when a signer is prompted for his credentials. The signer can log on once, none, or required to log on for every single signing action. Now the same applies to prompting the user when they sign. A second prompt will be presented if this is enabled. Now, if your CoSign appliance is set up to sync up with Active Directory, then your logon is done automatically. It takes the account that was logged in to the workstation, and it uses those credentials to log on to CoSign. Moving on, we have reason codes. These reason codes can be predefined so that if you have a commonly used set of reasons for when you're signing, such as I'm approving this document, I'm the author, I authorize this document to move on to the next workflow step. You can preset those reason codes within the client configuration. Additionally, you can also preset some instructions for your users when they sign. So when they sign and they get the signing ceremony page or prompt, part of it will also include this customized message or memo that you want to tell your signers. The next commonly modified setting is the Microsoft Office appearance. You can configure to show or hide the validation marks on the computer monitor and or when you print the document. But let's hope that if you need a digital signature solution, that you aren't printing documents too often. Now basically, this appearance parameter, when you sign the Word document or Excel document, part of your signature is these validation marks, whether it's a green check mark, a big red X, or a question mark. And we'll go over this in a later slide. The next commonly enabled feature is setting up Office to automatically validate and verify your signatures. That way you can skip the hassle of manually validating individual signatures, because Office will do that as soon as you open up the document to view. So the benefit of CoSign's digital signature solution, or at least one of the benefits, is the ability to include this graphical signature with your digital signature. Users can have more than one signature image, and they are all stored on the CoSign appliance. We offer different ways of creating your graphical signature. Part of it is either uploading an image, you can just use a scripted text font, or you can use an electronic signature pad to create your John Hancock. So here's how to create your signature. So the very first step is within the CoSign control panel, you have this graphical signatures icon. Go ahead and click on the graphical signatures icon, and you'll be prompted this screen. The very first time you log in, what you see is just a scripted font of your first and last name. To create a new signature, you click on the New Signature button. Then, here you can define your signature name, and you can upload or create the signature via the methods I had mentioned before, either uploading an image file, creating it using a signature pad, or your mouse even, or choosing to display your graphical signature in a text format. Now, you can also use the same graphical signature image in CoSign within Acrobat. All you need to do is click on this Update Acrobat link, and your images, your signature images will be available to use when signing in Acrobat. Now, before we begin signing Word documents. I have a second poll for you to answer. And we'll take, hopefully, roughly 30 seconds until everyone gets a chance to complete the poll. So which documents are usually signed by you? Please select at least one. So we'll wait about another 10 seconds before we get the final votes in. And in about 5 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and close the polls. All right. So in this section, we'll cover the different features available and the differences in Word 2003 versus Word 2007 and 2010. You'll see the differences in the look and feel from the screenshots that are used in the next few slides. So CoSign supports the following versions of Office. Basically, it dates back all the way to Office 2000, XP, 2003, 07, and 10. Of course, to enable the plugin, you must have CoSign installed. Now, once you've installed CoSign, you'll see the CoSign option in your toolbar. Now, please note that this screenshot uses Word 2003. Signing with CoSign. Basically, 3 simple steps. Open the document you wish to sign. Place the cursor in the desired location for where you want to sign. And then, in the toolbar, click on Sign with CoSign. Now let's see how this works. Oops. Okay. Here we go. Here I have a Word document. Here's a purchase order. I've got Office 2010 installed, so the look and feel is slightly different. But the process is still the same. I've opened up my document, placed my cursor in the desired location, and now I have the Sign with CoSign button, which I'm going to click on. And here's my signing ceremony prompt, which you can see I have more than one signature, which I'm allowed to choose prior to signing. Click on Sign. I enter in my credentials. Here in big, bold, green check mark, my digitally signed document. Here's my graphical image and some details, date and time of when I signed this document. Now, how do you sign a document that has a pre-configured signature field? Well, it's even simpler than what I had just shown you. You open up the document you wish to sign, locate that signature field, and you just right-click on the signature field and click on Sign. Very simple. So with signature fields, you also have settings that you can configure. Simply by right-clicking on the signature field, you get these, and selecting the signature settings option, you get this prompt here. Basically, the first tab, the settings tab, you can configure what signature properties you want displayed when you sign. These options can be toggled on and off prior to signing. You can also make signatures dependent of each other. Then you have the time format. Just like the tab states, you can format how you wish to display your date and time. Then you have the scope of signature. This is important because you can specify what the signature is protecting, or essentially what are you signing, whether it's the entire document content or maybe just a specific section within the document. Lastly, you can limit the ability to clear or re-sign signature fields to the signer only, to no one, or to anyone. Multiple signatures. So I mentioned before that you're able to have multiple signatures on a document. But when would you use this? So you've got multiple independent signatures. For example, when a form requires signatures from different department heads, but neither one are dependent on each other to be signed. Then you have dependent signatures. For example, when an employee signs a document and is waiting for his or her manager's signature for approval. And so you can set it up where the employee signature is dependent on the validity of the manager's signature. A good example of multiple dependent signatures is this vacation request form, where an employee signs and requires his manager's signature for approval. So if the manager's signature is cleared or becomes invalid, then the employee's signature, in this case the worker's signature, will also be cleared or invalid. Now, documents created in Office 2003, when adding a signature to the Word document, you can also add reasons, which I mentioned earlier when showing the client configuration. Now, reasons can be centrally managed by the organization by predetermining this list of reasons to distribute to the client. But the users also have the ability to add reasons on the fly. And let me go ahead and demonstrate that. Let's see. Okay. So here is a different purchase order form with the predefined, or I'm sorry, with a pre-configured signature field in place. So now I right-click as the signature field states. I click on Sign, and here again I get to choose my graphical image. Go ahead and select my second one, and a list of reasons that I can choose. Now here's 4, but I can go ahead and add one on the fly. Doris approves this document. There's my intent. And my identity. Now you can see here is this new reason code that was not previously configured in the list of reasons. And you'll also notice, the signature size is slightly smaller than the previous one. And yes, signature fields can be resized as big as you need or as small as you need. Next, we have sectional signing, a sectional signing example. In here, we have two signatures. The first signature is configured for signing in the first section. The second signature by John Miller is signing the second signature. If modification was done to this document, if the modification was done within the first section, then what will happen is only Mark Williams' signature will become invalid, whereas the second section, signed by John Miller, modification has not occurred after his signature was placed, and therefore his signature will remain valid. And you can define the sectional signing within the scope of the signature right here by specifying that it's only signing or protecting the containing section. Now what happens if you have 100-page document, 100-plus page document with possibly 30-plus signature fields or just signatures? Well, CoSign also provides the ability to view all the document signatures in a single list, easy to view, and you don't have to flip through each individual page to verify that the signature field has been signed. And it looks something like this. So signature dependency. Like I mentioned before, when attempting to clear a signature that has been set up to be dependent on another signature, this is something that you'll see when you try to clear the signature. You'll be prompted and notified that the signatures are dependent, and clearing one will clear the other. After installing the CoSign client, you'll notice the CoSign tab and the CoSign options within the add-ins tab in Office 2007 and 2010. So you're probably asking, well, why? Why are there duplicate options for signing? Well, the reason is, prior to 2007, Office didn't have a built-in support for digital signatures. So ARX developed our own proprietary digital signature format, which at that time, and even now, is available from the add-ins section. Since 2007, Office created its own signature line feature, which, to keep up to date with Office, we have integrated with their signature line feature. And that's why for those who have Office 2007 or 2010, you have both options to digitally sign a document from the CoSign tab and from the add-ins. Both features accomplish the same thing, but there are differences in the digital signing features. So you'll see the CoSign signature field on the right is added through add-ins, but you also, and within add-ins you get this CoSign option, and within there's a list of different features, and one of them, which I found to be pretty useful, is being able to customize your toolbar. And in my case, I add the features such as sign, add signature field, and validate all signatures, actions that I use most commonly. On the left is Office's signature line feature, which gives you two options, adding an empty signature field or automatically creating that signature field and signing it. And so you'll notice that the signature fields also look different. So here's a summary of the advantages and disadvantages. Now, depending on your organizational requirements, one might suit you better than the other. Using the CoSign signature field, you have the ability to support sectional signing and dependent signatures, whereas in Office's signature line feature, it does not. As soon as you sign the document becomes locked, and preventing you from adding a second signature field on the fly. The benefit for using Office Signature Line is once all is said and done and the document is signed, you go through the validation process. And with the Office Signature Line feature, the validation process can be done automatically without any verifying software, because it's all built into Word, or in this case, in Office. But of course, if you need sectional signing or dependent signature support, then Office Signature Line is not the right fit for you. And just to show you the differences, once more highlighting, here's just some screenshots of Windows 2003 and 2007, what it looks like when you install the CoSign client. All the features are still the same, except in 2007, 2010, you just get this extra Office Signature Line feature. Okay, so Excel signing. Basically, it's just like Word. You can add multiple signatures, and you can define different signature scopes. The key difference here in Excel is that you're now signing sheets, the entire workbook, or a selection of cells. Once you've decided on that, you can get even more granular and specify either you're signing the cell values, the cell formulas, or even the properties. And so here you can see how the scope is set up for signing in Excel. Look and feel is the same. So if you know how to sign in Word, you'll also know how to sign in Excel. Now we're going to cover how to sign PDF documents and how it looks when you view these signed PDFs in Adobe Reader, as well as the ability to sign other document file types. You're not just limited to PDFs and Office. So signing with CoSign. So we have this application called OmniSign that is part of the CoSign client package. Now, this application enables you to sign PDF documents, which we'll cover in the next slide. And additionally, part of the CoSign package includes a virtual printer called ARX CoSign. Now, the ARX CoSign acts just like the Adobe printer, and it will convert any printable file to the PDF format. And that's why it enables you to sign any document that you can print. So signing PDF file. Locate your PDF file, right-click on the file, and you'll see this new option called Sign with CoSign. Select that, and it's going to open up your PDF file within OmniSign, where now you can select the sign icon to draw a box on your document where you want to place your digital signature. And to do that, it's, you left-click on one place, and you drag the box so you can make it as big or as small to fit the designated area. And once you're ready, you release the mouse, click the mouse button, and there you go. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see the digital signature with the green check mark. The look and feel is a little different than in Office because the integrations are different with these two separate programs, but it's still the same. You see the graphical signature image along with some properties of the digital signature with the green check mark. And of course, the display of the digital signature can be configured. Now let me go ahead and demonstrate this. So let me find a PDF document here I have. Here's my right-click option, Sign with CoSign. I select the Sign with CoSign option. It's going to open up the PDF file, and now I can preview the file before deciding whether or not to sign. Here you'll see the option. You're in the toolbar, there's the Sign button. Click on Sign. Then I click and drag the box. You can see I can make it as big or as small as I need it to be. Let go of my left mouse button. Of course, I authenticate myself. Again, going through the same motions, just like with every program, selecting my graphical image, hitting Sign, entering my credentials, and bam. There's my graphical, my digital signature with the green check mark. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this document, close it, and okay, so I've saved the signed PDF documents. Now I'm ready to view it in Adobe Reader. Now, I hope you noticed I've been saying Adobe Reader, and that's because all you need is Adobe Reader to view any signed documents. You do not need Acrobat. So if you remember from the earlier slides about the principle of signing and verifying digital signatures, you'll know that to verify a signed document, it requires the public key. And in this case, the public key is the root certificate. So CoSign follows the standard of installing all root certificates to the Windows Certificate Store. So in order to validate signatures in Adobe Reader, there is one thing that you have to configure Reader to do, which is to recognize Windows Certificate Store. So you're probably wondering, well, why do I need to do this? What a hassle. Well, that's because Adobe, by default, does not look at Windows Certificate Store. And so users will have to modify the setting. And it's done in the Edit menu, under Preferences, then to Security and Advanced Preferences, where you'll get the Windows Integration tab. And here you'll want to check all three checkboxes, so enabling Adobe to search in Windows Certificate Store. So viewing signed PDF files with Adobe. So double-click on the signed PDF file, launches Adobe Reader. This is what you'll see. Signature field is shown at the bottom of the screen. And Adobe will report to you that it has been signed and that the signature is valid. Now, the validation process can be done, again, automatically. And you'll want to make sure that the option to automatically verify signatures when you open the document is enabled. And in most cases, it is enabled. Again, it's all under the Edit menu, Preferences, and within Security. And there you'll see the Verify Signatures when the document is open checkboxes. Now, moving on to, well, I guess before I move on to signing Outlook emails, there's a couple questions regarding multiple signatures within a PDF file. And the answer is yes, absolutely. You can definitely have multiple signatures within a PDF file. Now, signing with Outlook. A few things must be configured in order to digitally sign emails. Signing Outlook emails is a little bit different than how you normally would think signing, signing would work. In Word and Excel and PDF, you actually see, your graphical signature image, with the digital certificate attached to the document. Well, in Outlook, it doesn't quite work that way, and you'll see in a little bit. Now, a few things must be done to enable digital signing. And the first thing that needs to happen is, of course, you have to have your CoSign client installed, which means your signing certificate, which is required for digitally signing emails, will have already been placed in your Windows Certificate Store. Then in Outlook, we'll need to go to the Trust Center, where you'll be able to select a certificate that was issued to you by your organization. Selecting your certificate, you have to make sure that the certificate you select, on that certificate, the email address on the certificate must match the email address you plan to use for composing your emails and digitally signing. And of course, digitally signing can be preset to always automatically, or you can manually choose when to digitally sign emails. So signing an email, what you see is this ribbon. You open up your email, and you know that you've digitally signed it or have received a digitally signed email when you see that ribbon icon on the right side of the email. Now, if you click on it, you'll see this prompt, the digital signature prompt, whether it's valid or invalid. And in there, you'll be able to see the certificate information, basically who is the one who digitally signed the email, their email address, and whether it's valid or invalid. Now that we're done talking about signing and how to configure documents for signing, it's time to talk about what happens after. You know, how do you validate those signed documents? First thing, the symbols. You'll see different symbols when you open up a signed document. These symbols, first one, this yellow question mark, it indicates that the signature needs to be validated. Right now it's in an unknown state. We don't know if it's valid or invalid, if the document has been modified after the signature has been placed or not. The second, the green check mark, well, means the document has not been modified since the signature was placed. And the last symbol, this big red X, basically tells you something has changed in the document after signing had taken place. Now, this is a digital signing solution, so we don't know exactly what changes have been made, but we know something has been made. Now, if you want to know exactly what changes have taken place, that type of auditing is done at the document level. As far as digital signature is aware, we just know something has happened, something has changed. So what's required for verifying a digital signature? You may or may not need verifying software, but you will always need the signer's root certificate. That's the public key that you'll need to match up with the signer's private key, the signing key. Next, you have your Office application. Only in Office 2007 and 2010, if using the if using the Office signature line, can signatures be validated without the CoSign client, without any verifying software. Now for PDFs, as long as you've configured Adobe to recognize Windows Certificate Store, documents will automatically be verified. So what is this CoSign verifier? Basically, what it does is it takes those manual steps that I've showed you and does it automatically. It installs the root certificate, and it automatically changes the Adobe settings to recognize Windows Certificate Store. We have a downloadable verifier on our website, which installs ARX's root certificate. But this verifier can also be customized. So if you are interested in a customized version of the verifier, which of course would include your company's root certificate along with the Adobe configuration, definitely email support@arx.com, and we'd be gladly to customize this verifier for you. Now, before I wrap things up, I still have one more, the very last poll that I'd like for you to answer. And we'll just take a few moments to answer that poll. Okay, most of you have completed the poll. So now let's wrap things up. In today's session, we've covered the basics of cryptography and digital signatures, the different signature types and the CoSign digital signatures, the process and the architecture of the CoSign solution, configuring the CoSign control panel and how to sign and configure signature field settings within Word, Excel, PDF, as well as Outlook email, and how to validate all these different signed documents. So I'll now start answering the questions from the question box. But if you need to drop off, we are at our 1-hour mark. You can also contact us by phone or email, emailing support@arx.com or presale@arx.com. We also have additional videos on our website, so feel free to visit arx.com. And before you go, for those of you interested in getting a training certificate, please go to the site, surveymonkey.com. The link is in this PowerPoint, and take the test. See how much you've learned regarding, CoSign, using CoSign. And upon completion, we'll email you this training certificate signed by ARX. And thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the webinar. And have a good day.